morning and welcome to Cover 2 Cook. We're on episode 109. We got some NFL updates, NHL playoff updates, as it might be over tonight. And then we have the NBA Finals, which it might be one more game looking on that as well. So we'll give you all the updates since we were off on last Thursday. So let's get it started.
Yeah, I was going to do a vertical jump there. Thank you, Socks.
Travel been to Indiana, and did Cover 2 Cook get you a good hotel?
Indiana? No, I'm in Louisiana. I'm getting Mardi Gras.
I know that this might be hard, but I don't know how much you remember Friday night since we left you damn near when you fell asleep.
I got my belly full, man. I was like, I warm covers and warm. I was like, I could go to sleep right now.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Jack Dorsey.
Final answer?
Yes. All right.
This is going to be a long fucking day.
All right. Thank you so much for joining episode 109. We have to talk about the NFL as the NFL is always king. First thing right off the bat, Parsons says Cowboys not signing extension will cost them more. What'd you think about hearing about that?
Here we go again. It cost them for Dak. It cost them for CD. And Parsons, it's going to cost them again. What I know what the end game is. Jerry wants. Nobody's talking about football right now, so now we're going to let's talk about the Cowboys. It just ends up costing them down the road. What are you doing, Jerry? Do you really want to win, or you say you want to win? In quotes.
Yeah,
it's ridiculous. He just wants to have his team in the spotlight, in the eye, and sign them, or. I don't know. Should have get off the pot, Jerry.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, because like this offseason, we saw the DNs get paid. So are you hoping that next year you're not going to see DNs get paid? I mean, when the best of the best get paid, well, Micah Parsons is in that category of the best of the best. So him not getting paid this year, it's only going to go up. I mean, if he has a great year, it goes up even more. If he has a bad year, it might go down a little bit, but his track record has it. So I kind of agree with him. I think he's also saying right now, like, I'm willing to talk next year. It could be one of these things where maybe I'm not as willing to talk and maybe I want out.
Well, another thing too is I don't think they can franchise tag him. So what do you can't do that. So what are you going to do?
Yeah.
Just hold out and just like every other position, the money goes up every year.
Yep.
Are you waiting for see what what you get for your cap next year and hope for the best? I don't know. I just don't get it. The waiting game doesn't always work, and it hasn't worked 2 times in a row. So you're trying for the trifecta or what?
Well, and I will say I do believe he'll get signed this offseason. I think I think he just put pressure back on the Cowboys saying, hey, let's get this done. I would be surprised if it's like week 1 we hear about it, right? Like right before their first game. That's how Dak was. It was like right before he took a snap pretty much. Joe Burrow was like that not too long ago. There's players that they sign up in that week. I mean, I think it's just showing that he's saying, I'm not going to wait around. So either let's get it over with and just bite the bullet, or next year might be a whole different conversation. I believe that they'll sign before that first game.
Too. I think so too. I think he just wants a little drama in the signing itself. But I could see him signing during like in August before they even have game 1, week 1. So
yeah, I definitely agree. Well, speaking of another D end, Hendrickson and the Bengals are back at the table to talk about the contract. I don't know if people realize that always doesn't mean good news. And what I mean by that is, just because they're at the table talking again, which you thought they were doing for however long this has been going on, doesn't mean that there's a positive side of this. They also have a problem still with the other DN, that's the rookie that we've brought up in the past. So, will he get signed? I don't believe so. I believe that he is actually going to get traded. I think right now the Bengals they got their skis over their head with the wide receiver situation. I think when they said back to the table of talking, this is it. This is it. If he signs, perfect. If he doesn't, he's got to go. Because now he's becoming a cancer to the team, because now he's being a little bit more open. When he was being respectful in the beginning, now he's being more open about saying, hey, I want to be a Bengal. Let's make this happen. Other teammates When other teammates start talking about it, that's when it comes bad. What did you think about hearing about this?
Yeah, I mean, here's the deal where he's, I think he'll get signed there. I really do.
Yeah.
I think he's going to get signed just right before, just like Parsons. I think he gets signed. I think this is a good thing. They've got to get back. They got to get it figured out. Sign him or trade him.
Yeah.
Let's another shit get off the pot here. Sign him or trade him. But maybe there's not anybody. There's no offers out there, so they're not just going to give away this player that's DN. So I mean that has played good in the last 3 years. So I think they sign him. I think they come to a mutual agreement where what he was wanting and what they were offering, I see them meeting halfway, and I say them signing probably before training camp in July.
See, I think of the trade. I think and the only reason I say the signing is, don't you feel that would have already happened? Like, I think they're way off on their talks. And what I mean by that is, it sounds like Hendrickson will give the hometown discount. I just want to be a Bengal. So they must be way low on this if he hasn't signed yet. So are they going to come up a little bit? The Bengals are so prideful on their management. Yeah,
tight. That owner is tight as hell. Unless you're on offense.
Yeah, well, and I don't see this happening. So I think they'll trade him, and I think you could see maybe a first rounder in the future. I mean, he's a sack king. He's obviously going to show that he's going to play. I just think this is a big loss for the Bengals if they do end up trading him. If they sign him, I still think this negative stigma that came with it is never good news. They always say good. All publicity is good publicity. Not these types of situations.
And they still haven't signed the other DN.
Yeah.
The one that are still messing around with the contract.
Yep.
Deal. So yeah.
Well, and that might be the conversation going forward is if they don't. If they sign him before Hendrickson's gone. He's gone.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
I agree.
$1.15 billion has been granted to the Chiefs to renovate Arrowhead Stadium. It is kind of an older stadium, but that's a lot of money to put towards it. What do you think about hearing about that?
Well, the rumor I heard was that possibly they would move. Not to say they would move out of state, but somewhere different.
Yeah.
Like, Dallas doesn't play in Dallas. They play in Arlington. The 49ers don't play in San Francisco. They play in Santa Clara. Yeah. They were talking about buying some land. I don't know if it was close to where the Royals – they already play close to where the Royals play at now, but it's somewhere farther away. And so I think this was they have to put the money in it or they would have lost the team and they would have played somewhere down the road, not in Kansas City or in that area. So I think it's a great thing for them. For the Chiefs fans, they get their stadium. They're gonna look. What my next question is, where are they gonna play at
while they're waiting? Renovated? Yeah,
they're gonna have to find somewhere to play where that might be maybe playing down in Columbia at Missouri, University of Missouri.
Yeah,
because you're talking 1.3 million or billion. You're talking a hell of a renovation.
Well, and I think we're seeing a little bit more personal with the Chicago Bears. They're thinking about going to Arlington, or there's more movement to the Arlington now, or they stay in Chicago. These NFL teams are looking at their stadiums and saying, how do we make this multi-purpose? How do we make this so that we're not just making money off football, but look what the Minnesota Vikings built. Look what the Dallas Cowboys built. People pay money to go do a tour, and that might not be just a football fan. That might just be someone that wants to see the field and the size of it. I also think when you're looking at playing these games over in Europe, you're seeing some of these soccer stadiums that are just bringing in so many people. So Kansas City, I love the thought of making it, but y'all just kind of forget that you just won some Super Bowls there. All so right. I don't know. I mean, it's nice when you're winning because you saw New England, right? New England wins. They kind of get a new stadium. They get renovations in their stadium. Now you're seeing Kansas City on this talks of doing it. I just don't build it so that you don't get that atmosphere anymore. The people talk about it when they go to Arrowhead that it feels like the crowd's on top of you. And sometimes that isn't more an advantage than bringing in 50,000 more people. So.
Well, and also too, Anthony, a lot of these teams have to get state of the art. Yeah. They got to get Wi-Fi in there. They've got people that, they go to these games They also play fantasy football.
Yeah.
They also do betting. So that Wi-Fi has got to be really strong so that they can watch other games going on at the same time. That's another thing why these stadiums are renovating, so that they can, during a stoppage, they can be maybe watching other games going on their phone, or in a concourse or whatever.
Yeah, does Missouri have betting? I don't know if they do. I don't think they
I
do.
don't know. Good question.
Yeah.
If
Yeah, I don't
any of
think
the fans out there know if Missouri does betting, please let us know.
Yeah, I don't think they do. I don't think they have, or where you can gamble at a casino or whatever, but you can't
Right.
gamble at the game. Because that changes a lot of it too as well going forward
Yep.
with these things. In other news, Jim Irsay has been inducted, or will be inducted, to the Colts Ring of Honor this upcoming year. Obviously, as if you've kept up with this, Jim Irsay was the late owner of the Colts, passed away. His daughters are taking it over. I think this is a really cool thing. Obviously, I think he is the embodiment of the Indianapolis Colts, right? Like, we've heard the stories of how the team just up and moved, became Indianapolis. But when you think of the greatness of when they had Peyton and all this, Jim Irsay was like still a face that people knew at that time. I think he's been more vocal as years have gone on. I've also felt like he's the bad boy of the owners, right? He always was one that would make a comment about Jerry Jones and not care about it. So I think this is good for them. I also think that this is what should be done, respectful. When you have good owners like that, you know as a fan, but also as a player, you knew who he was. What do you think about this?
I agree. I think you got to do this. I mean, this is a no-brainer. You got to put him in the ring. He's also brought basketball. He's brought other events, wrestling. He's brought a lot of events. The Big Ten Championship went there. A lot of big events have been there. So, I mean, he's brought a lot of, because of his stadium, he's brought a lot of events there. And, I mean, he's just a businessman. Yeah, he's a little rough around the edges. He's kind of old school, where he kind of just says it, what he's thinking, he just blurts it out. But overall, I mean, he was a good owner. I mean, he's got a state-of-the-art stadium. He's brought in good players. I mean, he wants to win. I mean, I think it was a no-brainer.
Yeah, and you got to think NFL Combine's there too. So, yet alone within the NFL world, he's brought that as well. Well, we got a segment today called What Happened on Today in Sports History. So, in 1994, a great year. I think a good year for me to be born. O.J. Simpson led a police hour-long chase, and it stopped everything. Everyone stopped what they were doing for this moment. Obviously, I don't know what it was like. I was, 4 months old at the time. But everyone can remember that moment, the Bronco going down the street. Even if you weren't born during that time, you know the pictures. You know the situation. It was such a big situation that during the Knicks and Rockets game that was in the NBA Finals was interrupted to show this police chase. Yep. Game 5 of an NBA Finals was stopped. And not like the game was stopped. The broadcasting was stopped to show this police chase. The Chicago Soldier Field was hosting the first World Cup, which we are about to have our second World Cup coming up at Soldier Field. That also happened on June 17th of 1994. The Rangers, so while in New York, everything's going on, the Rangers were celebrating their Stanley Cup win in their parade, which they have not won since then. Finally, Arnold Palmer was giving a goodbye to the U.S. Open, as that we just saw this past weekend. The U.S. Open happened. He was giving his goodbye, did not make the cut. It was a very emotional situation. I would have loved to see that, because I feel like Tiger's always just kind of waited around being like, he might come back, he might not. Where Arnold was like, I'm done. This is it. What do you remember of June 17th of 1994?
I think the biggest one is is O.J. Simpson. I was actually watching that game at home with your mother, and I couldn't believe they actually went away from the game, and was televising this as the Broncos go down. I think it's I-5 or one of them interstates in California, and I mean, I thought for sure that he was going to die then, because he had a gun right to his head and he was going to shoot himself. He didn't want to live anymore. And it was, and you got to remember this was 31 years ago. So social media was nowhere near what it is today. Yeah. Nowhere near. So this is an exciting, cliffhanger that you just don't know if when the van stops or the Bronco stops, what's going to happen. And how are they going to try to stop this Bronco? They really didn't. I mean, they just kind of tailed them until he pulls back into his house, I think, or somebody's house. But it was kind of a on your edge, kind of waiting to see what was going to happen next.
Yeah, it's like the start of social media. Let's be real. Like,
right.
I mean, when you think of it, like it changed how the news talked about the news. I mean, for that moment, but also too, like now people wanted things. They wanted it faster. I wanted to know how this finished. I want to know every second of this. I just laugh because thinking of basketball stopping, like, could you just imagine? I'm sitting here thinking, I'm watching the Super Bowl. And they're like, whoa, 1 second, breaking news. Like, that just shows how much we are into our sports outside life. Like, I can't imagine a sport stopping because of what was going on in the news or things like that. But, yes, that was in 1994, June 17th. I also have to give a happy birthday to Tony, my stepdad, as it is his birthday. So 1994, man, what a hell of a birthday, because this had a lot going on there. And NHL, we have to talk about the NHL playoff updates, okay? We've given all the other news. If you watched the U.S. Open this weekend, good for you. Nobody well-known won, whatever, we're on. But if you've been watching hockey, we did not give an episode on Thursday, so a lot has happened. On Thursday night, Florida started with a 3-0 lead. It's over after the first period. Edmonton ties it up 3-3 in the second period. Edmonton takes the lead in the third period. Looks like a win until Florida scores with 20 seconds remaining. Now, I've been acting as a hockey fan throughout this whole period. And I was out of town doing some things Thursday night. I see that it's 4-3. It's game's over, right? It's over. And then I see it's 4-4 in overtime, and I'm like, oh shit, I got to turn this on. Okay? Draisaitl gets a good opportunity, wins it for Edmonton in overtime to cause the series to go 2-2. I have not been so frustrated than that moment because I was like, okay, Florida, man, they're going to take a 3-1 lead. They came back, blah, blah, blah. Nope, Draisaitl gets that score. Draisaitl has been there when they've needed him the most. McJesus has performed okay in this series. McDavid has. But, like, Draisaitl has got now 2 overtime goals which is their 2 wins in this series. Like, it's Draisaitl has caused them to be in this series, which then led us to Saturday night. Okay, so Saturday night, Brad Marchand scores 2 out of the 3 goals for Florida to give them a 3-0 lead again. Uh-oh. Are they going to give it up? No, they did not this time. Both teams will get 2 more goals apiece to make it 5-2 for a win for Florida, making a 3-2 lead. Now, why that game was important was because it was in Edmonton. When Edmonton took one in Florida, it made it look like Edmonton might make the run. This now led them to say, now we can win it in Florida. Tonight, Tuesday night, so when you're listening to this, it'll be Wednesday morning. Florida will be the Stanley Cup final winner. Florida will win at home tonight. I do expect it to be over. I think the question of the game is who starts for Edmonton. Does Skinner start or does Pickard go into goal? But when you guys are listening to this on Wednesday morning, Brad Marchand will be the Conn Smythe Trophy winner over Bennett. I think Bennett or the other one, Reichert, whatever. Yeah. I think they could be up there, but I think Brad Marchand has given this team such a life in this playoffs, yet alone the Stanley Cup. I also think he's going to have a huge payday this offseason, and I wouldn't be surprised if he stays in Florida. I just don't think he's going to play for the Florida Panthers.
Oh, little Tampa Bay action?
I don't know if it's Tampa or Toronto. Like one or the other. I think he might stay in Tampa, so he's going to stay in Florida altogether. I don't think he comes back to the Panthers. They're going to have to they ain't got enough money for him. But from what I've read, it's either up to Tampa or Toronto. And I think if you're going to already be in Florida, no income tax or whatever, might as well just go over that Tampa side. But yes, I do think Florida wins it tonight. The series is over after tonight. If they don't win, it'll be an interesting series or finale.
Yeah.
But I do think they win tonight just to end this one up. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm glad you said that for the Conn Smythe, because that's who I was. If you would have given me an opportunity I would have said Brad Marchand, because I think he's been the key to this whole series. He scored 3 goals so far in this series, and they've been key, every one of them. So, I mean, I think, and the last game, I mean, I was rooting for Edmonton, but they just couldn't get anything going. Yeah. I mean, they get, it was 3-0, 3-1. I'm thinking, all right, here they go. Here they come. And then they score a goal, and it was like, it's over. It might as well go to bed. I mean, it was over then. It's just like they just can't play no defense. They can score goals, but they get against a team like Florida that could clamp you down, they're done. They are done.
Well, and I have seen people talking about the goalie situation for Edmonton. You already knew going into this series that you didn't have the best goalie. So knowing that, like, you didn't have that, who you play tonight doesn't matter really, because you just got to play a better game. I think Florida's type of game is what makes them unique. It's they have great players, don't get me wrong, but their uniqueness of the physicality plus the guys that can, dangle a little bit and get the puck in the net is what makes them so good. Now, they've been to the Stanley Cup 3 times. This would be their second time winning if they win tonight.
Back to back.
Is it a dynasty? Do you have to win all 3 to be a dynasty, or do you just have to make it 3 times to be a dynasty?
I think, boy, that's a tough question, because my personal opinion, I think you got to go to a 4th one. I'm not saying a 4th one, but they've made it before there before too. Yeah. This has been 3 consecutive years.
Yeah,
but I think it's pretty close. It's got to be pretty close in this modern day of salary cap and the way the hockey world is nowadays. It's got to be pretty close. I got to give one more. I got to see one more finals.
So if you make it 4 years, but you only win 2 out of the 4, that's a dynasty.
Yep, I don't know. Did we consider Golden State a dynasty when they won 2 out of? Did they do 2 out of 4 or 3 out of 4? I know they did back to back, but so.
Yeah, I just think that word gets tossed around so loosely.
I know. Yep.
And that's why, like, for me, I was gonna say you have to win 3 back to back to back. Like, that's how it is. Like, because you're taking away some of that word when you talk about some of these teams in the past that did actually do a dynasty.
Right.
Because I did hear it today. I was listening to a TV show, and they were like, well, the dynasty. And it was like, I mean, I'm not a fan. Like, okay, guys, hey, maybe I'm incorrect on something, but they've only made it the past 3 years, but only won 2. If they win tonight, let's also they could go to Game 7 and lose it. Let's be 100% honest here. But if they win tonight, I don't count it as a dynasty. Like, even if you make it 5 years, 6 years, 7 years in a row, I don't care if you win or you make it the last 20 years. If you only win 2, it's not a dynasty.
Yeah. Ask Aaron Rodgers how that works out.
Yeah.
Not as far as dynasty, but all great of all time,
Yeah. So, but do you think Florida wins it tonight, or do you think Edmonton takes it to Game 7?
I think Florida wins. I think that was a backbreaker with them being up 3-1. And they beat them at Edmonton. I think that was a backbreaker. I think it's over tonight. I think they put it away. Bobrovsky probably has a monster game.
Yep.
So
I wouldn't be surprised a shutout. Like, just one of those ones where it was like, you were not going to have a chance tonight. Right. And I would also not be surprised a little fighting tonight. Just a little bit of all right.
Yeah, they get down 4-1 in the third, and it could get chippy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, we got to move on to the NBA playoffs. Mr. Tim Cook, can you give me an update on what's happening in the playoffs for the NBA?
All right, we're going to talk Game 3. The Pacers won 116-107. The Pacers, 40 points in the second quarter. And the fourth quarter, OKC just simply got outplayed. Yeah. I mean, they got outscored.
Oh, shoot. Did I lose you for a second? I can keep going on that. On the NBA, I did see that on that Game 3, it was all about Tyrese Halliburton. Tyrese Halliburton kept it going again. All right, you're back. You go. You keep going.
Too many turnovers for OKC. Game 4, SGA has scored 15 of his 35 points in the fourth quarter as OKC was down by 10, and then they sealed the victory 111-104. They tied the series at 2-2. I think the key to this series, they had them. Pacers had them at home, and they couldn't put them away. They kept letting them play, and they were within under double digits by the fourth quarter, and that's when SGA took over. I mean, I think, they went on a 16-2 run. SGA, damn near had all the points in that 16-7 run. Jalen Williams had 27. Caruso had 20. Siakam's been playing really well for the whole series. He had 20, and Halliburton had 17 in the loss. I mean, the Pacers came out flying. They scored 20 points in the first 5 minutes of the game, and they led by 9 early, but they just couldn't pull away, like I said. I think another key to it was the Toppin flagrant one midway through the second quarter. That hurt. I mean, but then he got a one later on before halftime, and the Pacers were within 3. It just seemed like, and then the Pacers in that third quarter just opened it up, got up to 10, but it wasn't, they didn't start blowing them out too far. I mean, they're not blowing them out, but they didn't get that big of a lead, and they just outplayed them. In game 5, Jalen Williams, monster game. 40 points in the win as the Thunder won one game away from the championship. I think they just didn't look like a deer in headlights. There was a couple times where they had opportunities, Halliburton and them, and they just didn't shoot the ball. They just kind of stove their froze. I think the biggest one too, they fended off the Pacers in the second half as they cut the lead to 2 with 8 minutes left. But the Thunder, this was almost a wire-to-wire game. Siakam cut it to 2 with 8 minutes to go, but this was they had to have this game. So now they're going to go back to Indiana for game 6. So I mean that's the biggest deal is that, and now Halliburton's hurt. He's got a bad calf. So is he going to be 100%? He's got a bad ankle. Now he's got a bad calf. He's got to show up. It just seems like he goes away for long periods of time, and they can't have that. He's the main driver for this team. He keeps them up and going, and you can only have so much of T.J. McConnell and Obi Toppin. Siakam is only going to be able to do so much. It's up to Halliburton. And if Halliburton's not 100%, I think this could be over on Thursday night.
Yeah, I'm going to have to back up a little bit, okay? So game 4. What it was it? SGA. Did he push off? Like that last shot that they make, he is first off traveling. Let's just, unless people are like, just that's a blatant travel, okay? And they've been letting the physicality in this series play. Do not get me wrong. There was a lot of free throws in that game, but he pushes off, arm extended, stumbles one more time, and then grabs himself to shoot the ball. Come on. I am rooting for Indiana, so don't get me wrong, but that was crazy.
I know. I think he does push off a little bit, but what people have been watching on and saying, Dwayne Wade used to do the same kind of move, and he never got a call neither. He did push off a little bit, but he didn't extend his arm. I think if he extends his arm, you got to call it. But he didn't extend it that far. I don't think he extended that far, and I think it was a hell of a play.
Yeah, but I guess in my head I'm thinking, okay, extended or not extended, but then stumbling. So what is that? Like you can't just have where nothing happens, and then like the defense doesn't get the time to come back and whatever. That one's crazy. And then obviously last night when Tyrese goes down, he comes back but doesn't do much. I think he actually had 6 points last night, maybe.
Yeah, 4. He had 4 points.
Yeah, 4 points. This series is unfortunately over, but I think when we talk about this NBA Finals, you're going to talk about how OKC all year was the best team.
Yeah.
But nobody just wanted to give them their flowers. Like, that is a great team. They play good defense, and they have guys that can score. And you just said this, Tyrese Halliburton's got to show up. I think he needs more help than Siakam. Like, if McConnell is your second or your highest scoring player, come on. What are you doing with the roster? Like, and I think that's why Tyrese is the way he is at the end of the series. The whole playoffs, the whole entire playoffs, he has been their guy the first one in the battle, last one to leave. And
Yep.
yes, he's taking the toll on him. But like Siakam getting Eastern Conference MVP, where you need to take over. You need to be that guy. He's not that guy. And I think that's what the Pacers need to do in this offseason is go after a big star because that's the only way they're going to win. I think that's the only way they get to a time where they actually play for a champion or play for an actually compete in this championship. I think a lot of things have just bounced their way going into this playoffs. Obviously, Tyrese makes 3 game-winning / tying shots.
Right.
That's not going to happen again.
Well,
So-
here's another thing too, Anthony. They've got to cut down on their turnovers.
Yeah.
I mean, they had 23 last night. You can't win very many games with 23 turnovers. And I think that's the second or third game in this
series where they've done that. Yeah, no, I agree. And I think, but that's also their run and gun type of atmosphere is where, well, yeah, you're going to have people that are going to get tired and ankle injuries and calves and things like that because of the situation. I'm just glad that Tyrese, when he went down, it kind of looked like he had maybe an Achilles or something like that. And that would have definitely, I mean, that's Boston's Jason Tatum. He has the Achilles and everyone was kind of like, the series is over now. Definitely with that. I think that's the same situation with Tyrese. I don't know if they said he's getting an MRI. I don't know if he'll be back, but yeah, so we'll have to see. Maybe on Thursday we're talking about, it being over. Maybe we feel differently as it comes time to there, but we'll be back on Thursday where we will give the results of the hockey as they play tonight. And then we will give the results or talk about what is upcoming with the basketball. Sports are unfortunately coming to an end, but baseball's on. If you like baseball, not a fan of it. But we want to thank all of our fans. We'll be back on Friday. Enjoy the week, and we will see you then.